So to get started with lifecycle management, you can imagine that some people want to have more control about different lifecycle statuses for items or customers or vendors, and then based on that, block or allow certain processes within Business Central. So, for example, take items as an example. You can work with the lifecycle statuses new, active, and end of life. And you can then block that items with the lifecycle status new or end of life. You cannot create sales quotes with those items, and of course you are able to create them while they have the status active. And with that, of course, you can prevent your salespeople to create quotes for customers with discontinued products. Or another example, if you work with customers and you first want to perform a credit check before you are shipping items to those customers, you can work with the lifecycle status new and active, for example, and then as a requirement before turning a new customer into the lifecycle status active, one of the requirements is then that a credit check needs to be completed. And with that, you're making sure, of course, that you're protecting the business from financial losses. So that's lifecycle management in a nutshell. And of course, I'm going to show you something in the system within a minute. The other feature I would like to highlight as well, also is a second small feature of today, as today features are rather small, is extended attributes. And with extended attributes, you're able to add custom data to customers, vendors, contacts, jobs, and resources, which makes it easier for you to search, group, sort, and filter without the need to immediately jump to dimensions. For example, if you work with customers and you are working with memberships and you have memberships bronze, silver, and gold, for example. Sometimes you want to have an overview of only the gold customers or the bronze customers or whatever, and therefore you want to have that data on the customer level available without the immediate requirement that you need to jump to dimensions. Of course, with dimensions in BC, you can categorize, but sometimes you want to have custom data to sort or filter on without the fact that it immediately needs to be a dimension. And that's something we have fulfilled with extended attributes. Basically, you can just imagine how it works for items in standard Business Central. We have made that available on other records, like I said, customers, vendors, etc., in the system as well. And then, of course, you can create and link your own attributes and assign them to all the entities we have made extended attributes available. And you can then filter and sort by those attributes. And let me switch to my Business Central environment to show you a bit. So let me share my screen. I will share my screen with Business Central. So here we are in Business Central. And as you already might know, with Empowered being installed, you have the module configuration window. And within the module configuration, you can simply enable or disable the features you want to use. And in this case, you can see that extended attributes management and lifecycle management has been enabled. And as soon as those have been enabled, of course, you then need to define your own extended attributes or lifecycle statuses. And I want to show you how that's possible within the system. So let's get started with lifecycle management. So we simply go to Empowered and then Lifecycle Management. And here we have the Lifecycle Management page where you can create the life cycles for those specific entities, like customers, vendors, and items. And then you can create your different lifecycle codes. So for example, just as the example I mentioned during the presentation, for the entity item, we have created 3 lifecycle codes, so new, active, and end of life. And here you can see all the document creation and basically operation functionality you want to block within the system. So here you can easily see that well, an item has the status new, you are not able to create sales quotes, sales orders, etc. for those specific items, but you are able to already create purchase orders, for example. With active, nothing is blocked. Of course, you can then do everything in the system. And as soon as an item has been marked end of life, you are not able to purchase it anymore. And you're also not able to sell it anymore, of course. So here is simply how you can create those lifecycle statuses. So for example, if I click on new, you will see that I can select between the lifecycle object, which are the entities customer, vendor, and items, and then you can define your own code and define which processes need to be blocked. Now, for example, if I go to the item list to show you the result of this, so we go back to the role center and then we go to items. You also have the option to include lifecycle as a column. So here you see that, for example, the Paris chair black is active and Amsterdam lamp is end of life. So if I'm going to create a sales quote, let's create just a random sales quote. And then let's add an item, the Amsterdam lamp. As soon as I am including it, I get a message. The item is blocked for sales quote, and it has a reason, because with those lifecycle status you can also define reason codes. So as soon as the item has been marked end of life, you give it a reason code. For example, in this case, I gave it the reason it's a suspended item and there are substitutions available, and so that the people know why it has been end of life and why they are not able to include it in the system. So that's lifecycle management in a nutshell. You can create those lifecycle statuses for items, customers, and vendors. Now let's go to extended attributes. So the second feature of today. So if I go to extended attribute management, I have the attribute list. And once again, just think how it works for items within Standard Business Central. We have now included also to customers, jobs, vendors, resources, etc. So for example, like I mentioned in the presentation as well, you can, for example, create a membership attribute for the entity, so the table customer in this case, and we have the different values: standard, premium, and advanced. And the same applies to job. For example, you can then make a difference between construction or maintenance whatsoever. Those are options. So if you work with those extended attributes and you want to add a value, you need to choose between one of those values. But you can also work with the free text, which in this case is the resource text. So for example, if I go to the customers first, so let me go to the customer list. And then if I go to the customer attributes, you will see that a Datum Corporation has the membership premium. And of course, then you're also able to filter by attribute. So for example, give me the memberships and the customers with only a membership premium in this case. So let's choose premium, and then you will be presented with only your customers with a premium membership. And of course, you can clear those attributes filters as well. I also spoke about resources, so let me jump to resources. If we, for example, go to the resources and then have a look at the attributes. For example, please remember during the setup I showed you that the attributes for resources is just the free text. And with attributes you then see, for example, if we work with skills, on the resources you can work with free text. So for example, this resource is skilled in Business Central, Empowered, and Azure, while another resource is only skilled in Business Central. And then of course, if you work with filter by attributes, and then you're going to filter on the skills, you can work with the value, and then you can basically say it needs to contain Empowered or Business Central. And basically, because we are using free text in this case, you can simply search for Business Central, and then all persons who have somehow Business Central mentioned in their skill set, they will then be shown in the filtered resources list. So those are just two very small features covered today: lifecycle management and extended attributes, which makes it even more easier for you to select, sort, and filter if you speak about extended attributes, which we basically have copied from items to all those other entities as well. And with lifecycle management, you are able to control your processes, which processes are allowed for which lifecycle statuses for specific customers, items, or vendors.